Okay, tip number 6. This one should go without saying, but it never actually plays out this way. Don't try to sell anything at networking events. Let me tell you why. One, no one is there to buy anything. No person goes to a networking event trying to buy recycled dog houses made out of chewed up dog bones. No one goes. Now they might find your company interesting. They might later become a customer, but do not try to close sales at networking events. You are essentially forfeiting what could be a very lucrative partnership between you and somebody else in exchange for a one-off transaction when you're wasting time trying to sell them on a product. You are not there to sell anything. Now, I know that some of you guys are in the industry of, say, multi-level marketing or, you know, any other type of residual income type marketing services where the core and the bane of your existence in that company is to acquire more people, right? And so you might look at network marketing as a way to say, oh, this is awesome. There's a ton of bodies in a room and they're all willing to talk to me. Let me exploit them. That's so wrong, and that is one of the reasons why I despise networking events. Because in essence, that's kind of like going to a restaurant knowing that every single waitress that works there has to be nice to you and has to be polite and has to be respectful and they have to approach you. That's like going up to a restaurant and saying, I'm gonna hit on every waitress here because they have to talk to me and I cannot get rejected. No, that is a cheap cop-out. Do not go to networking events trying to network and lure people into your net of multi-level marketing goodness. Nothing against multi-level marketers. It's just those are the repeat offenders that I constantly see at these things. And while I'm trying to talk to you after about an hour of understanding what you do, you try to sell me on some supplements that I don't really need. Don't waste anyone's time by trying to close them there. Explain your concept. If you are a multi-level marketer, that's very cool. Explain that. Do what you gotta do. Get to the next step. There's no hate whatsoever, but you're not here to sell stuff. You're here to meet people, possibly grab a beer with them afterwards, get to know your connections, and expand your worth through assimilation of ideas. Do not sell. That's tip number 6. All right, tip number 7. Do not go to a networking event if you don't want to share your idea. Now, everyone when they first started, everyone's seen the social network. Everyone has heard of those multi-billion would-have-bees if they didn't say their idea to a more capable person in the initial stages of their company because that person ran off with it and made the billions. Yes, that does happen, but let me just clarify one thing for you. If you're thinking of going to a networking event and not sharing your idea, one, the likelihood that you'll find someone that's gonna steal your idea and do a better version of it is 100%. There are so many more people more capable than you of making your idea even 100 times better than you, but that's not the point. The point is if you're passionate enough, there can be 20 people directly in front of you ready to copy your idea, and you have to be ready to take on competition head on. You should be able to look at them in the eye and say, I'm still gonna crush you because I'm much more passionate than you are and you will ever be around this idea. So get to know the idea that somebody else out there already has what you think is your proprietary concept and they're probably crushing it. You will run to them head on and you will defeat them if you're starting to take it as passionately as I am convincing you on this point. Share your idea. It's worth it. You're gonna find a lot more people that are gonna help you. And the second portion of that is it's worth nothing if it stays in your head. So if you tell nobody about your idea and you're just waiting until somebody approaches you with a golden opportunity to fund you for something they have no idea exists, it's never gonna happen. And you know, more so, it's gonna probably suck when you finally do say what your idea is to anybody because you just spent the past 3 years keeping the idea in your head, keeping it locked up in a box with no feedback, no criticism, and no ability for it to grow and metamorphosize into something actually awesome. No, it's probably still gonna be the rough, crappy version of what you first thought it would be because you haven't shared it with anyone. So do yourself a favor and share this stuff. Don't share your proprietary, IP, but share the general concept if that makes you feel a little bit better. So the bonus kind of tip off to this point is someone once told me, when you go to these events, you should definitely share your idea. To which I replied, you're an idiot. Someone's gonna take my idea and they're gonna make my billions. And then they told me, well, that's fine. Give me a secondary, idea that you have following that first iteration. Give me a version 2.0 of that idea. And I said, well, I haven't thought that far. And he told me, so let me put it this way. If you tell somebody your idea and they steal it, and now you're both running parallel companies, but that person has thought far enough into the future to come up with a version 2.0, 3.0, up to 7.0, and you aren't creative enough to think of anything more than the initial concept, you're going to go out of business anyways. If you're I believe it's one pony show, one horse show, once somebody else replicates that out in the industry, a bigger player takes the same concept and just replicates it, you're done because you have nothing to follow it up with. So a little bonus tip off of that, if you're scared about sharing your idea because of somebody else copywriting it, don't worry about that. There's plenty of ways to go around it. But if you're worried because somebody else is going to take it and knock you out of business, you're going to go out of business anyways because that's the only idea that you have. So to end that point, share your ideas. So tip number 8 goes back to the first point that we made in this list. What you want to do when you go to these networking events is you want to start asking questions. Now, this is going to be a harsh point, but I think it's a very real one. When you go into these networking events, everyone that's there in the room with you is there for one of 3 reasons. They're going to be there to find funding, find a partner, or find the connections that they need to take their company to the next level. You should be doing the exact same thing, and it's not something to be ashamed of. Again, the worst thing you can do is show up to these things, talk to 40 different people, be one of those guys that says hi, hey, can we exchange cards, leaves, no one remembers that guy nor what he does, and leaves with about 40 different pointless contacts. What you want to do, back to point 1, listen, but the big point here in point number 8 is you have to ask the questions that are going to vet them to see how they can serve you. What purpose do they serve in your company's life? Do they have money? Do they have connections? Do they have networks that you need? Do they have some type of access that you're trying to acquire? You need to start figuring out quickly what it is that they have that you can use or partner to get, or what kind of exchange can you create, and you do that by asking proper questions, which we'll talk about in another related video. But point number 8, ask questions, vet them out, and then get their information based off of that. Don't leave any conversation that is valuable without them firmly knowing what it is that you want to connect with them with and what it is that they want to know more about. Because when they leave and they go home, they're gonna go, man, Leo really drilled me on my printing processes, on my manufacturing processes, and where I get my molds from. He was really into what I do. So when I hit him up again, I'm gonna say, hey, Steve, remember how I was asking you about the molds? I just had one final question. Where exactly do you get your blah, 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 right? You have to have some type of substance. These connections are very fragile. 1 second they might forget you, the next they're trying to make a deal with you on the spot. Ask questions that are gonna vet whether or not they're worth it to you. If not, the grand finale, you gotta leave. You gotta get out of that conversation. Quick interactions, see if they're worth anything to you, see if they have any value to you. If not, get out of there. Now, kind of a weird thing, and I know a lot of people probably wouldn't want to say this, if you're a dude, fight the urge to get all up in there and stay with a group because there is a very attractive member of the opposite sex there. You're not there to find romantic interaction. Similarly, if you are a lady, do not stay in that jam if there's a very attractive bro there. You guys are not there to make connections on that level. You're supposed to be on a business level. Afterwards, go get a drink with that person. Ask them out. Do whatever you gotta do. Don't waste time. It's valuable for you, especially if your $1 million ticket is sitting across the room, but you're too busy here asking a girl, asking a dude about how they like the sushi they had last night. Irrelevant, guys. Do not waste time at these networking events. Please, don't do it. All right, look, point number 9 is kind of a big one for me, and this is I would say the main reason why I don't like networking events. So for me, I've been running a company since about 9th grade of high school, super into it. Now, I don't ever consider them companies, I consider them systems. So if you know me a little bit, you know kind of how my mentality around this goes. Anyways, a lot of people that go to these networking events see them as companies, which is a very okay thing, but then they kind of branch off of that, and just like any company, they try to take it to a very chauvinistic level where they say, well, I own this company, and it might sound grand and luxurious the way they say it, but at the end of the day, it might just be something on paper, or it might just be a website, or it might just be a concept that they have. But the reason that I don't like networking events is point number 9, don't be arrogant. I don't care if your company's already made $1 million. I don't care if you've been running for 10 profitable years. I don't care if Bill Gates personally funded you with his pocket change. Do not be arrogant. You're not only gonna make it bad for yourself, you're gonna be seen as that butt face that's there making everyone feel uncomfortable, but you're not gonna actually get any value if everyone thinks that you're gonna act like this once they make you a partner. You know, this is gonna be kind of a little speed date to forecast the future of what our partnership will be. Are you gonna be the arrogant butthole that says, oh yeah, I've founded this company in 4 months? Or are you gonna be the guy that says, you know what, we're gonna be on the front lines together and we're gonna crush this together. You know, even if we make $1 million tomorrow, our ground roots will stay embedded in the fact that you and me are working on this. So point number 9, when you go to these networking events, do not be arrogant and do not try to show off your concepts as people who quite frankly are probably more successful than you. So don't be arrogant. Alright, so point number 10 is actually the reason why I do still go to these networking events, and that's you want to have fun at them. So, you know, if for the people like me that are just really into it and they're constantly going to these, you know, tech startup events, apparel events, fashion events, any kind of startup weekend kind of things, you know, we have heard just about everything under the sun, and sometimes when we go to these things, we don't even go with the intention to even share our idea. We just go with the intention to be surrounded by like-minded people who can relate on a very, very simple concept, which is let's do something that we feel will bring us greater enjoyment than a 9-to-5, or even in parallel to 9-to-5. We just believe that there's something greater than the structural norm. So that being said, there's plenty of dudes and dudettes such as myself that go to have fun. And that's point number 10. Go there to have fun. Have fun while you're there. Yes, it's a business type setting. Yes, you should always be professional and don't get way too drunk. Get a little, you know what I'm saying, if you need it and you're over 21, but don't, you know, just have fun when you're there. And you know, that being said, kind of a spin-off in accordance to that, once you're starting to talk to people about being partners, and they're the kind of person who has heard for the billionth time about how someone has the new version of Facebook or Craigslist or a new app that will help you find interesting things in your city based off interests you've already pre-populated. We've heard these things in a million different iterations. So when they come to you, again, you're trying to find a partner, and someone comes to you and they're already waiting for a horrible, boring pitch, and instead you say, hi, my name is Leo. Do you want to come with us to get frozen astronaut ice cream across the street, as opposed to, hey, my name's Leo, stand there while I spit at you some game for about 20 minutes about my company. It's boring, man. You gotta switch it up. You gotta dice it up. Treat this person as if they were already your partner and explain to them in layman's very, very, very humble terms what it is that you do, and start building a friendship and a bond. Do not try to take this too seriously. So just to wrap up the last point, point number 10, show up to these networking events ready and eager and excited to have fun. You want to make it as much fun for yourself as you can for everyone around you, because very worst possible case, if you find no common connection between you and the person that you're trying to speak to, at the very least you'll still have a group of friends who are in the startup community that further down the line might be able to help you with their resources or connections, or at the very, very, very least be able to work alongside you while you're trying to build up your startup. They can work alongside you building theirs, enjoying each other's company at the same time. So point number 10, go out there and have some fun. So that completes the top 10 list of what you should do when you go to these networking events. If you have any more personal questions, or there's something that you want me to address for the next video, leave it in the comments below, email me, or go to the website and send an inquiry there. I love doing these things, but yes, so top 10 things you should do when you go to a networking event, how to make more money, but more importantly, more friends and have more fun while you're there. My name is Leo with Leo the CEO, and that's it for today.